Hey, Larken Rose here. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Well, short, may not be all that sweet. Very simple question for all of you who believe in constitutions and due process and the rule of law and representative government and all that fun stuff. Very simple question I want you to answer, and feel free to forward this to other people so they can think about it and answer it for themselves. Here goes. Is there any point at which an authority figure, be it a president, a governor, a cop, a bureaucrat, I don't care, whoever, some agent of government, is there any point at which some authority figure can tell you, you must do this, where instead of just blindly doing that, you'll actually pause long enough to say, wait, do you have the right to tell me to do that? Because so far, a whole lot of Americans seem to have no such line. And they don't bother checking to see if even under their own rules, the beast that calls itself government has the right to do anything that it does. And I'll give you a fine example with the coronavirus thing going around and the authoritarian garbage following it around. In Arizona, the governor, power-happy doofus of this particular state set out a decree saying you shall stay at home and you shall close these businesses and you shall only go out for these essential things, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people said, golly gee, we must obey. He is the governor. And a lot of other people said, up yours, we're going to go live our lives. First of all, good for them. The ones who said, golly gee, we must do that because he's governor, you are the problem with the frickin' world. The reason tyrants get away with doing what they do is because the people under them assume they have the right to do it, and they don't think of disobeying or resisting or even questioning the notion that they have the right to do that. The jackass governor of Arizona wrote this official decree, whereas this, whereas this, whereas this, by the authority vested in me. Look that up. Look up what he cites as his authority to tell everybody to stay home. It's not freaking there. Read the Arizona Constitution. There are two clauses having to do with emergency powers. One is a war emergency. We're not at war. That one's out the window. The other one has two little pieces of it. He, the governor, in case of an emergency, is allowed to order around government agents and government departments and government employees and government resources. The end! Not you, not me, not any private business, not any person in their own home. Nothing. He just made it up. He absolutely pulled a Hitler, and unfortunately, it's not at all unusual. Power-happy jackasses across the whole country are doing this, and millions of Americans are going, golly gee, I guess we better stay at home because the authority figure said we had to. If you even believe that he has any authority, where does it come from? Government legislations and elections and constitutions? Well, then look them up, because they don't even have the legal right to do any of this. The governor of Arizona, as one example out of hundreds going on right now, just made up power. If a cop showed up at your house and said, you have to let me in and let me rummage through your stuff. I don't have a warrant. I don't have any reason to think you did anything wrong, but I'm going to rummage through your stuff. Also, I'm just going to take whatever I feel like in case I kind of want it, you know. But you have to let me because, look, a badge, huh? Got a badge, huh? If you're stupid enough to go, well, I guess he has a badge, so I guess I have to let him do it. You deserve whatever happens to you. If you understand even the Constitution, even the most basic fundamentals of due process of law and limited powers, and even that's, bogus and too authoritarian for me, but that's a topic for another day. Do you know how to look these things up and say, where the hell does, for example, a governor of a state get the right to tell everyone to stay in their homes? He doesn't, from anywhere. He just frickin' made it up. Like Hitler did, like Mussolini did, like a bunch of dictators did. They just made it up out of nowhere. By the power invested in me, by me saying these words, I get to boss you around. That is exactly what they did, and a whole lot of Americans fell right into line like good little subjects of a tyrannical regime, instead of saying, where the hell do you get the power to tell private businesses to shut down, to tell people you have to stay in your own home, this, that, the other thing. And it's not the first time. It's not the first situation in which cops, governors, presidents, all sorts of political parasites have just decided to tell people you have to do this, you have to do that. And most people never pause long enough to say, wait, under your own rules, you're not even allowed to do that. But that is absolutely true. And I see a few people out there talking about it, but most people are like, well, the governor said it, blah, 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 blah. Hey, Governor Douchey. Oh, sorry, it's Ducey. Screw you! I can leave my fucking house if I want to. I can go do work for other people if they want me there. You have zero authority even under your own stinking rules, and the fact that a lot of people aren't going to bother to look that up doesn't change it. Thankfully, in Arizona, there are a bunch of people who do question that sort of authoritarian, totalitarian BS and say, screw you, I'm going to live my life. Heck with you. But it's pathetic. In the land of the free, how many Americans who proudly wave that flag don't even hesitate for 5 seconds to wonder, how the hell did these people get the power to just do whatever the hell they want? No due process, no proof. We're just going to stop you on your way to work and you have to prove to us that you're essential. And so many Americans go, yes, officer, because you think like slaves. You think like subjects of a totalitarian regime. How do you think totalitarian regimes happen? Because they get their people to think like subjects of a totalitarian regime. Stop doing that. If you want the US to be anything remotely free, which already isn't really, if you want to hang on to the shreds of freedom that are still left, don't act like a slave. Act at least like somebody who's capable of looking something up for 2 minutes and saying, you don't actually have the right to tell me I can't leave my frickin' house. And guess where in the Constitution it says, unless everybody gets sick, then all civil rights are out the window? Nowhere. It says that nowhere. In no federal constitution in the US, in no state constitution. Other places, other countries have their idiot Emergency Powers Act, which, by the way, is how Hitler did what he did. Their constitution, under the Weimar Republic, actually said he's allowed to say, this is an emergency, civil rights are out the window. There is no such provision in the US Constitution. They just make it up. And if anybody just makes up power, if your neighbor says, by the way, I now have the right to barge into your house and take what I want, you go, well, golly gee, if you say you have that right, I guess you do. Well, then he does. Way to go. And whether or not he's wearing a badge makes no stinking difference. If somebody wearing a badge will make you automatically do whatever he says without question, no thought of disobedience, no thought of resistance, then you were born to be a frickin' slave. And if you're doing things because you're scared of being sick or you don't want to get other people sick, fine. If you're doing things because you think these bloated windbags in suits actually have the genuine moral right to tell you when you can walk out of your house, you were born to be a slave. But it's time to maybe wake the fuck up and be a self-owning free human being and start to question this shit.